The man's breath was close to Dodger's ear. "I reckon you've worked out I could do very nasty things to your neck before your doggy got to me, and dogs is not too difficult if you have the knowing of it, and I knows you can't get to your knuckles right now, nor that little bar you like to carry, not like the last time we met." The man chortled. "I'm going to enjoy this, after the way you came at us in that storm. Someone has taken measures since then, so as my associate of that night is no longer in the land of the living. If I don't want to be amongst that happy crowd, I need that information. Now." Dodger gasped. So this was one of the men who had been beating Simplicity, and Sharp Bob was behind it. He'd heard tell of the man, a legal cove of sorts, widely respected by the unrespectable. Anger rose in him, a terrible anger that coalesced into one shining certainty as the man's blade gently stroked across his neck. It whispered, "This man is not going to walk out of here." Dodger said, "It sounds like I'm in the hands of a professional, then." The voice behind him said, "Oh, yes." "Good," said Dodger, and threw his head back so hard that he heard the reassuring noise of something breaking, and then spun round, and in his rage he kicked and stamped on practically everything. But this was one of the men who had been beating Simplicity, and no kicking could be thorough enough for that. The knife had been dropped, and he picked it up, looked down at the man in the gutter, and kicked him in the fork as hard as he could. While the man groaned, he rifled his pockets to the total account of 15 shillings and 6pence halfpenny. Then he kicked him again. "You tell Sharp Bob to come and ask me questions himself, right? And I'll see you in lavender if I ever see you around here or hear of you taking your fists to a lady again. You will float down the river without a boat, and that's the truth." Dodger dragged the man off his patch, as the protocol of the streets demanded. He propped the figure up against the wall and whispered, "You are a very lucky man, understand?" Then Dodger whistled to Onan, though not until after the dog had urinated on the man. And then it seemed to Dodger that the evening needed one last touch that a geezer could look back on and be proud about. Jingling the purloined coins in his hand, he walked back to his own streets, over to a small doorway, and knocked several times. After a while, a very cautious old lady in a nightshirt peered out. "Who's that? I ain't got any money in the house, you know." Then it was, "Oh, it's you, young Dodger." "Yes, it's me, Mrs. Beecham, and I know you haven't got any money in the house. But you have now." Dodger dropped the booty into her astonished hands. It felt good, and the toothless old woman beamed in the darkness and said, "God bless you, sir. I'll say a prayer for you at church in the morning." The following morning, the man whose job it was to open the door of Coote's Bank to the customers found himself looking at an elderly Jewish gentleman in a ragged gabardine coat, whose eyes gleamed with mercantile zeal. This apparition pushed past him, followed by a young man in an ill-fitting suit and a nasty-smelling dog. A receipt and a shiny new bank book were received. The little party swept away as fast as they'd come in, and all was right with the world. Except that one of Mr. Coote's senior partners was realising that somehow he'd agreed to a rate of interest that they seldom offered, but he had considered cheap at the price if it got Solomon out of the building. Solomon was always a winner when it came to bargaining, and it tended to leave everybody dazed. Outside the bank, Dodger reminded Solomon that he was due in the offices of Punch magazine, so that some artist or other could draw a picture of him for the front cover. Mr. Tenniel turned out to be only a bit older than Dodger. The two of them chatted away while the artist drew, and to Dodger's amazement, being drawn didn't take very much time. Tenniel made a last-minute adjustment to the portrait on his easel and turned it towards Dodger with a grin. "I'm pretty pleased with this, Mr. Dodger. I think I have your essence down pat." And he shook Dodger by the hand. "No time to dawdle, Dodger," said Solomon. "You know how keen I am on bathing. Well,